Many women will approach menopause with some anxiety, some concerns about the future. So what do we really need to know about the change? We've got Dr. Aimee Duffy here to talk about that and dispel some myths. Welcome, good to see you.
Thank you.
First of all, overall, you're saying we just need to have more conversations about what's happening, and menopause is not one size fits all.
Yeah, I think the old school is like, you know, here's a hot flash, here's a pill, and it's a little bit scary. We've had some media, you know, sharing some concerns about hormone replacement and people just feeling like, oh, well, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to suffer through it. And we really don't have to suffer. There's so many more things we can talk about.
Technology's come a long way. So,
Yeah.
so you walking us through these myths. The first myth that people have always thought, or a lot of people keep saying, is menopause just happens overnight.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's
not
really
a sprint.
kind of a transition that can take somewhere between 4 and 10 years. So it's not like this switch just happens and one day you're young and the next day you're old, right? It's kind of this transition over time. And so I think a lot of people get confused about, you know, is this menopause, what's happening, and really what does menopause even mean? And it really just means at around age 50 that you're not having cycles anymore, but there's so much more to it than that. So, you know, it's really a conversation to have about, are my hormones changing, and what are some options?
Different experiences for different people. So another myth, hot flashes are the worst of it. That's not the case. I love these fans, but hot flashes being the worst of it is not the worst. It's just what you hear about.
Sometimes it's very subtle. Like you start going, why am I so irritable all the time? Or, you know, my emotions are weird. I can't think anymore. We get this kind of brain fog, or my memory's not working. You know, weight's coming on. We're going to talk about weight too, but you know, it's more than just a hot flash, and some women go through it and never have a hot flash.
That's probably how they simplified it. When these conversations were happening, it's like, oh, it's a time of hot flashes, move on, because there wasn't much more to say. You also say it is a myth that hormone therapy is dangerous for everyone. We won't go into that too much, but you know, something to worth look at.
You know, I talk for 3 days on this subject, right? But I think these days, what we know is, again, it's not one size fits all. It's not, here's your pill for your hot flashes. There's so much more that we can do with individualized testing and customized approaches to look at the whole picture and see what's going on, so that you don't have to suffer and you don't have to get stuck with birth control pills or, you know, antidepressant medications. That's really not the issue.
I'm glad that this is a myth. It is a myth that weight gain is inevitable.
Yes.
It's not.
Everybody just assumes, you know, that's what's going to happen as we get older, or if it does happen to you, oh, that's just part of the aging process or part of menopause. But really, you know, we do have changes in our hormones like estrogen, progesterone, but your thyroid, your insulin is a hormone. We've talked about insulin and blood sugar fluctuations before. So all of those things can start to change. And so when you talk about weight, it's not the same as when we were younger, calories in, calories out. It doesn't really work that way anymore. So we really have to dig a little bit deeper, but you don't have to.
But if you're proactive and you kind of understand what's happening, you're ready for things.
We can make some adjustments there.
Menopause means you're past your prime. Say
so all these people
myth?
It's definitely a myth. I mean, I think, you know, our age span is going into the 90s now. So I mean, like, you're only midlife at that point. So you're not a dinosaur. You're not old. Yes, are we aging a little bit? But it could be a restart for some people. And
and
you know,
I think it's interesting to point out too how people are aging very gracefully. They always do the thing. They say, here's the age the Golden Girls were in that show. They were, you know, 47 or something. I'm going to hot yoga classes, seeing, you know, people in their 60s who move as gracefully as anybody.
It does not have to be a life sentence. It can be just, you know, again, you got to reset, rethink what your goals are and what you want to do. But absolutely, it's not a time to just sit on the rocker, although sometimes that would be nice to just.
Well, it's okay to take a little bit, break. You know, get to fan yourself a little bit. Feels fine. But you know, overall, I guess your message for people who are going, this does need to be more of a conversation. You're saying it's an invitation. You're realigning. You're resetting. You're thriving. What should we take away from it?
You know, I think do some investigation as to what your goals are and where you want to go. But you can live your life. You can be, you know, amazing. You can be fit if you want to. You don't have to slow down. You can keep on going. And I think, again, it's an individualized approach. So, you know, find somebody who speaks a language and is not just there to band-aid a symptom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's more and more of that as these conversations happen. We can be proactive, find solutions.
Doesn't have to be scary.
Excellent. Anything else in all your conversations? Like you said, you could do a 10-day clinic about it, but all the takeaways are be proactive.
You know, it's again just looking at the balance, and for us particularly, we're looking at, there are different lab tests you can do. So a lot of people go, I don't feel right, and they go to their doctor and it doesn't, you know, all their tests are normal, but they may not be looking at the right test to see what's a little bit off.
Yeah, unlike decades ago, labs today are telling exactly where you're deficient, all that. So So get in, work with somebody that you trust, and anybody wants to find Dr. Aimee Duffy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are at Carolina Integrative Medicine in Clemson, and there is a link to learn more on accesscarolina.com.